Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Ken Knorr of thatcompany.com. Ken, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, it's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So let's go back in time a little bit. How'd you get started?
How did I get started? I was born and no, you don't want to go that far back, right? Okay. I'll give you the longer version of the short story. I was in the IT space and actually took a job as a manager of IT for a regional builder in 1998 and 1999. The owner of that company looked at me and said, "Hey, we got to figure out this Google thing because Google was just born." And I'm like, it was a regional builder, small builder. We built retirement communities. And I said, why do we need to worry about the internet? It was how naive I was at the time. And besides that, we're retirement communities. These old people don't use computers. He says, well, there's where you're wrong. We sell semi-custom homes. And they're white collar workers, and they live up north. We're located in Florida. They live up north, and those white collar workers are sitting behind CRTs at that time, and they're using the internet to figure out where they're going to retire. And I said, okay, well, I know computers, you know the home building industry and the retirement community industry. I'll believe you. I'll press the I believe button. Let's figure it out. So I attacked the problem of Google from a math engineering problem. That's how I looked at it. I'm an IT guy, systems engineer. And so I started reverse engineering Google. In 2001, I had a moment and I can prove it now. And a group of colleagues and I had been working on this Google problem, as we called it, on the side. And if you remember, in January of 2001, there was a wardrobe malfunction at the Super Bowl. Do you remember? Yes. So this wardrobe malfunction happens at the Super Bowl. I pick up the phone on that Sunday night and I call my friends and I say, we can prove it right here and right now. On Monday morning, KenKnorr.com, my personal website, ranked #1 for Janet Jackson's breast. I ranked #4 for Super Bowl halftime show.
I am sure your mother was so proud.
My mother was so proud. There was nothing inappropriate on my website. Okay. And I'll tell you another little side story to that. But so intense. I had an internet service provider at the time called Sundial Internet. They provided dial-up services. That's where we go back to, right? And they called me up that morning at about 11:30 and said, we have to shut you down. I'm like, why? You're burying our T1 line in so much traffic. And that's a meg and a half in this world's comparison of 1,000,
Yes.
speed. We were burying their line from so many people trying to visit my website. So I'm like, okay, well, we had figured it out. So I took that little home builder who was building 50 homes a year, and we took them and ranked them for Florida retirement communities, which in Florida, that's a big deal.
Yes, it is.
Nationally, that's a big deal. So we went from building 50 homes a year to building 1,000 homes a year.
That's a heck of an increase.
In a short span of time. I skyrocketed in my growth with them. When I left there, I was a vice president of operations, had 200 people in my chain of command. In 2007, I had this brilliant idea that I was going to start an internet marketing company. I was going to help other home builders. 2007.
It's an excellent time for the home building industry.
Excellent time to get out of the home building industry. And in 2008, the home building industry crashed and burned. So I started a company called Buildtelligence Web Solutions. And Buildtelligence Web Solutions actually DBA that company. But we weren't that company at that time. We were Buildtelligence. I wasn't a very good brand marketer because Build Intelligence, everybody wanted to call it Build Intelligence, and nobody knew how to spell it. Nobody knew how to say it. And I was focused on home building. And 2008 came, the home building industry crashed and burned. And so we decided to do a pivot at that moment that we needed to be agnostic and do internet marketing for anybody. But it took the same knowledge and skills, and we took the #1 ranking for pay-per-click management, PPC management, and all those phrases. We are ppcmanagement.com and we are SEOcompany.com. And so we went out into the retail space, and there it was. We started, because we're not that anymore today. Today we're a white label company, another pivot. And how did we do that? Well, in 2007, we did that. In 2008, we realized we needed to pivot. We started becoming agnostic, taking on anything, not just home building. And we got a call from a very large, we took over the dominant space in the pay-per-click space and the keywords and organics. We got a call from a really big SEO firm out of New York City who said, we do SEO. We want you to do pay-per-click management for us. We want you to handle our clients and work on our clients under our brand. And we were like, okay, well, we've never done that before, but we can. And so we did, and we built our first white label agreement in early 2008. Anyway, long story short, we're all still doing retail, except for this one white label agreement over here. By 2010, Inc. magazine ranks us number 183 of the fastest growing companies, top 500 in the United States, in the middle of what is arguably the greatest economic downturn since the Great Depression. And we're exploding our growth. And fast forward a little bit further, 2015, Google takes for 8 years now. After that, we take the #1 ranking for SEO company and all the phrases surrounding SEO, and we are just dominating in the space, in the retail SEO space. 2015 comes, and Google decides to she listened to me on my phone. Decides to turn the SEO company keyword space into local search. And that, instead of giving you the best SEO company in the nation, they gave you the one closest by, maybe the 3 closest by. And we decided at that moment, if SEO was going to be turned into pizza, and maybe we ought to become the pizza oven for all of these pizza companies out there that are now suddenly going to be getting clients and really don't know how to do this. And yet we knew how to do it. And so that's what we did in 2015. We pivoted again. And when we pivoted in 2015, we decided to move hard into white label because we had been doing so much work in white label. And today, if you go out there and search what is white label and all this, we dominate those spaces and organically, because we know how to do what we do, and we do for ourselves what we do for our clients now. And we pivoted into making white label our thing. And from 2015 to today, we've now we have over 500 agency partners, and that's been a pretty big growth path for us. And it's been a lot of hard work, putting a lot of systems into place, because maintaining brand and anonymity so that people don't discover us is a big part of what we have to do to service our agency partners. So was that the story you were looking for?
That is the story I was looking for. That is a fascinating story. I know that was the short version. The longer version hopefully is in a book somewhere, and if not, it should be. So we could spend days unpacking all of that, obviously, as you have created tons of content around it, but we don't have that much time. So tell us a couple quick questions. I know your time is valuable. If I am a marketing agency, which we are, what is white label, and why should I do it, and why you guys?
Great question. So what is white label? Interesting. White label is different than private label, and there's a little differentiation there. And white label and private label are often used interchangeably, but I'll explain it at a very high level. And it's actually more of a white label approach versus private label. But if you can imagine the great value line of products at Walmart. Walmart is not in the business of canning green beans, yet they sell a brand of green beans that is their own, but they're not in the green bean business. They don't harvest or can green beans. There's a company out there that is white labeling that for them. They harvest the green beans, they put the green beans in the cans, and then they stick a label around them. And the original white label the idea that you could put your brand on my product. Private label is a little bit different. So, and I think there's an interesting talk there about just the differentiation. Private labels where I take your product and manufacture it for you or create it for you, but you decide what the specifications are. So in a private label, you have a recipe for an apple pie and you want me to bake your recipe specifically the way that you want it baked. And so I'll do that for you, or the private label company will do that for you using your very clear specifications. In a white label, the apple pie has already been invented by the company that's making. They're really good at making those. We're just going to put your brand on it. So we're in the white label. We come up with the services, and we're experts in applying these services, and we put your brand on those services. And we define, in essence, what we do for pay-per-click, search engine optimization, social media marketing, email campaign management, those types of things. And we provide those services underneath agencies' brands. So their customer, what we call the end client, has no idea that we exist. And our brand name actually works pretty well for it, because we're that company and that company and that company and that company and that company. So we're a lot of other companies, but their customers have no idea what that we exist. Why us? Well, or why would, let me, before you, why would an agency white label? Why not just do themselves? Well, it's hard to grow a lot of these expertise yourself. I did it, and you can do it. But a lot of times it'll give you a launch pad to where I don't have to things have gotten so complex these days that a generalist doesn't do good digital marketing. They can kind of get away with some of it, but they're not going to be really experts at it. So if you want an expert SEO guy, you need to hire an expert SEO guy. But as an agency, you might not have enough SEO clients to support that SEO guy. Same with pay-per-click. You may not have enough clients that are doing pay-per-click to support a whole full-time guy doing that. So you might get a generalist, but your generalist isn't going to get the same results as the expert. So we have the ability for you to grow into that space and maybe only have one client or two clients. And you can do that with us. We have the experts, and we spread them out across a lot of other agencies, and you're able to then just cherry pick us off for the services you want to be able to sell. It allows an agency to expand their service offering without having to hire a bunch of employees to do it. It allows them to focus maybe on their core offering, the thing they do really well, and they do it really well. And they don't have to try to become experts in all of these other areas. And so I think that's one of the main reasons that an agency might choose to white label. And then why us? What makes that company different? Why would you choose that company over insert a variety of others? Well, there's something that, and it's a historical lesson. It comes from that very first relationship we built. And that very first relationship we built, and I'm thankful to this day that it happened, because that very first relationship that we built as a white label, they did not have expertise in this at all, and they did not want to be involved in it at all. And so we built a custom agreement that all of our agreements then kind of mirrored since. And that custom agreement was that they wanted us to talk to their clients. And that's a difference between us and a lot of people that call themselves white label, or other competitors of ours that call themselves white label. They're really not white label. They're really outsourced solutions. So an agency comes to them, our typical competitor, and they do the work. Let's say it's an SEO client. They do the SEO work. The agency meets with the SEO team and of the provider, and they say, okay, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then the agency goes and meets with the client, and the client says, well, what about this? And then the agency goes back to the SEO team and says, well, what about this? And so the agency ends up sitting in the middle, being the go-between. And they have to do a lot of that work. It's very hard to scale. Where what we do is we interact directly with the client under your brand, which adds a lot of challenges for us, because we have to have great customer service personnel on the front lines as well. They've got to be able to interact intelligently. And that also means that we can't outsource overseas, because I can't, in a lot of cases, interact with an end client for an agency, and there's distrust with when you put a foreign accent on the line, that am I really getting good work here? And so we end up having to, insource basically a lot here in the United States, and there's challenges that come with that. The other thing that makes us different is that we not only white label our services, but we white label our sales, which is very rare in our space, which means that our agency partners go find an opportunity, and we have white labeled salespeople for all intents and purposes that will meet with your prospects and help you close the deal. And we're there acting as you while we're in a sales opportunity. That is extremely rare in our space. So that's what I think sets that company apart from other white label providers and other resellers that are out there that, resell services. So does that answer your question?
It completely answers my question. And I love that you've differentiated yourself not only on the complete white label solution, helping other agencies and marketers scale without having to hire people or learn a new skill set or learn a new technology. And then I like the fact that you have the manpower to interact as the agency and the salespeople to close the deal. It's literally an A to Z end-to-end solution. Absolutely fascinating for our agency owners or marketers listening to this who want to learn more. Where is the best place for them to go?
Thatcompany.com. It's really easy to remember. But I will also tell you that we randomly put a special. So, you could have an audience member that's listening to this 3 years from now. So I don't know what the offer is going to be at the time. But if you go to thatcompany.com/podcast, we put an offer up there for podcast listeners. So, and from those that are in marketing space, that's to help us track where, our podcasts are appearing on podcasts, and those efforts help us. So we'd appreciate you going to that subdirectory, but we put a special offer there, and they're usually focused on marketers. I think right now we're actually offering a marketing joke book as part of what we also do.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Let's see some marketing jokes. There you go. It's just a little value add, so, but I don't know 3 years from now if there'll be a marketing joke book there or something else, but thatcompany.com/podcast. And of course, if you want to interact with me, Twitter at Ken Knorr, KENKNORR, or on LinkedIn, Ken Knorr, feel free to connect up with me.
Awesome. This has been Seth Greene for Sharkpreneur with Ken Knorr of thatcompany.com. Check out thatcompany.com/podcast. Ken, thanks so much for joining us.
Seth, thanks so much for having me, man. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.